which was directed by Seth Gordon, from a script he co-wrote with Brendan O'Brien. It stars Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, Andrew Scott, Jamie Demetriou, Kyle Chandler, and Glenn Close. Slumming it.
Yeah.
Slumming it.
What's she doing in there?
What? Glenn, were you bored? Did you need the paycheck? Like, what's going on here? It received generally negative reviews from critics. No shit. There are no awards to speak of, and not a whole lot of production history. It is about, it was almost 2 hours solid. It's 114 minutes. So the basic premise of this is Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx are, I think, like CIA operatives, and they have a MacGuffin. They are betrayed by somebody. Their plane crashes. The MacGuffin is said to have gone down with the ship, is buried in the debris somewhere, lost forever. So they go off the grid. Also, Cameron Diaz is pregnant with Jamie Foxx's baby. So they decide they're going to go off the grid. They're going to live the life of suburban people, and so they do. And it is 14 years later. They have a daughter who is a 14-year-old angry girl, and they have a brother who is fairly normal. He doesn't really have much of a character. He plays soccer. That seemed to be that seemed to be the big detail. And the daughter and the mother are at loggerheads. You know, the daughter, why won't you let me be free to do the things? And and the mother is like, I'm trying so hard to be the best mom I can for you, and you an ungrateful shithead. So that's that.
I love the narration. That's great.
So as it turns out, they do have the MacGuffin. Jamie Foxx gave it to Cameron Diaz's mother, who is Glenn Close, and she is in England, and she is like ex-MI6. Word gets out that they've got the MacGuffin. They are somehow found out. I don't remember what the detail is, but they are forced to go on the run. They end up in England. They are being pursued not just by the CIA, but also by the evil people who want the MacGuffin. So they track them. So they get to Glenn Close's house, and part of the reason why Glenn Close and Cameron Diaz don't get along is Glenn Close was a cold mother, don't you understand? She was cold to Cameron Diaz. And Cameron Diaz says, I don't want to end up like you, so instead I smother my child. That's how this goes. So the evil people show up. They kidnap the kids. Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx go after them, along with Glenn Close and her pet boy, who is trying to be an MI6 agent. Big chase, big action sequence. At the very end, they are able to defeat the bad guy, get the MacGuffin where it needs to be, and Cameron Diaz and her daughter know each other just a little bit better now. They have resolved their family differences, and everything is better off than it started.
And they live happily ever after.
Quite literally, yeah.
So, my thoughts on this movie, and then I'll kick it over to you, Mick, and then you can back clean up Mac. There was a time where everything didn't have to be a 1 or 10. There were some solid 5s out there. There was a time you could go to the video store, Blockbuster is what they called it, and you could get a tape from the action adventure genre, or action comedy, and for 90 minutes you could have some fun, and it wasn't a world-changing event, and it wasn't the most stellar acting you've ever seen, but it was perfectly serviceable and competent and mostly in focus, and I miss those days. Now, those kinds of movies all seem to go straight to Netflix, as this one did, and that's about what on this to kick things off. This was a perfectly serviceable, nice, average action comedy. It rests entirely on, the premise of these two old heads are back in the game, but now they got kids, and what are we going to do about that? It's that kind of sitcom structure. Here's your situation. Now deal with it. And funny and entertaining and good-looking ways. Nobody's really bad in this. Jamie Foxx is serviceable. Cameron Diaz is serviceable. The kids are hitting their marks just fine. Glenn Close is actually pretty funny in this. She was quite amusing. And, the action is average. So I'm going to stop there and let you chime in here. Mick, what did you think of Back in Action?
It definitely fits the Wanamaker compromise. It was entertaining. It did its job, and I did enjoy it. That's something I would definitely watch again. Not like religiously, but I would put it on if I felt like watching something funny. I feel like I can't remember their character names, but Cameron Diaz and what's his name, Jamie Foxx. They had really good chemistry. Like as a couple, they did really well together, and that's what I noticed throughout. Like it was believable. Because for some movies that you see, or even TV shows, sometimes they put two people together and it just does not seem like they would have even met.
Yeah, seems like you're taking two different puzzle pieces and smashing them together.
Right. And the whole situation with their children, like the kids did good too. And I think you made a comment earlier about how the son doesn't really have like his thing, but he seems to be like the tech guy for me.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
He did. The ring he was wearing led them in.
Yeah, like health conscious for some reason. I don't know why that would be a character trait for like what, a 10-year-old? But but he seemed really into video games and pretty tech savvy. So I think if they end up making a new one and they were hinting at him being born to be a spy kind of thing, then we would definitely see him be more of the tech side of things. I liked the little twist that they had where they kind of paint this one guy to be the villain and then it ends up being someone completely different.
Yes. They paint Cameron Diaz's ex-boyfriend, who is also, I believe, MI6. They think that it's his group that's pursuing them, but it's actually their ex-CIA handler, who is Kyle Chandler.
Right. And I don't know. I enjoyed the fighting because, like, I'm not really an action person, so maybe that's why I liked this. But any fight scene didn't take that long. Like, there wasn't, like, constant blows for 30 minutes and nothing else is happening.
Yeah. This doesn't become Novocaine.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen that yet, but we reviewed it on Monday, and it was just endless amounts of damage and blood and nonsense.
I've seen a trailer for it, and that's not something I think I would see. It's not something I'm interested in. Like I said, action's not really my thing. Like,
fair.
I just can't get into it. But
I won't tell your boyfriend.
He understands very well. He makes fun of if I watch Die Hard, I'll fall asleep.
I'm sorry. Did I laugh out loud just then?
Yeah, that part was nice, in my opinion. I'm trying to think. Yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. There was nothing I really disliked about it. That's what I'm trying to think about. It was something that stuck out. But
I think it could have been tightened up a little bit. This feels like a 90-minute feature that maybe got stretched a little too long, but I'm not jumping up and down and screaming about it because it isn't like there were some pacing issues here or there. It does drag in places, but not so much that I'm like, Robert and I spent so much time last year talking about how it just feels like nobody knows how to edit movies anymore. And they're a little too in love with their babies. And I said, here, this probably could have done another pass through editing, but it's not as egregious as some movies that I've seen.
True. Yeah, no, I get that. And I think the final thing I was thinking about when I was watching it was Jamie Foxx's character cracked me up the most. He was so funny throughout the whole thing.
Mac, what'd you think of...
And just him as a parent was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely... Jamie Foxx has always had a lot of charisma. He was one of the guys that came out of In Living Color who, he's definitely earned his very stellar movie career. He is very talented. Jason and I talked about him in The Great White Hype, and he's like, if you want to see some classic Jamie Foxx comedy, he has some great one-liners and like facial expressions in The Great White Hype. Mac, what'd you think of Back in Action?
Well, boy, if Disney were to make a spy movie and throw two kids in to make it Disney, that's what you'll have here. It's just like you said. There's nothing. You won't be disappointed in the combat scenes, and you won't be thrilled by them. Foxx and Diaz do have a very been married a while couple chemistry. What you can't see, though, is at nowhere time when they start feeling alive again because they're in the spy game and things are clicking, that doesn't work either. They're still kind of uninterested and married, and they're very practical, even in the fight scenes. I'm going to give them a little credit for the fight scenes, though. I hate it when a 110-pound woman clocks a 6'4" guy and he flies back 4 feet. Well, you didn't see that. The fight scenes were at least honoring the fact that Diaz isn't that big. And when she brought somebody down hard, she was working hard. Foxx wasn't working so hard because he's a bigger guy. So they got some realism in there, but they were very I'm going to just say this, they were very practical about the fight scenes. We want them over, just like you would if you were a couple of parents looking for your kids. I'm not here to dance with you. I'm here to get to my kids.
Yeah, Diaz is very efficient. Diaz is very efficient in her fighting. I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, and I'll throw you back the mic. You're right, because they don't have her doing like the Black Widow thing from Captain America: Brave New World, where she's the size of Shay, and about 50 pounds lighter. But but guys are bumping for her like they're Shawn Michaels. Cameron Diaz is kind of like she has to use weapons. She has to grab bric-a-brac and hit him with it. Or it's very quick, like something to the throat, and then she kind of kicks him over to Jamie Foxx to finish him off. Stuff like that. Like, you're right. They use Cameron Diaz efficiently in any kind of action sequence.
She was like, "Don't worry, honey. She's just sleeping."
Well, and when she does use a weapon, when she clobbers somebody, she doesn't tap them politely. It's a hit. It looks like, yeah, that might hurt. So I'm going to give them that. And the fact that Diaz and Foxx are supposed to have old married couple chemistry at the beginning, I think they were supposed to catch fire in the middle and sort of remember being young and exciting. I didn't see that happening. But again, they were on this mission. Everybody's believable. Like I said, this is a Disney spy movie. If I were teaching a class in genre movies and I got to spy, I'd have to show this movie because it's not wonderful and it's not terrible. It touches all the tropes. It touches them soundly, and then it lets them go. The action scenes work. The MacGuffin is the MacGuffin. It's believable. It's all just minimally acceptable. You won't be bored. You won't be amazed. And you'll be left thinking, did I watch a spy movie? It wasn't very exciting. Okay, the stunts, the big stunts were actually fairly good, mostly practical, but there was CG thrown in there when they had to zero in on a star. But I thought they did pretty well there. But at the same time, you could see where this was going. It was extremely predictable. The only time I was surprised is when Glenn Close showed up as a sniper. And God love Glenn Close. When she shows up, things get better. But let's see, one more.
Makes the most of her screen time for certain.
I'm going to give cinematography a little bit of a plus, they worked a little harder. They only had 2 and 3 camera setups. You could just tell. But the cinematographer, owing to wanting to tell some stories, he didn't want to be a separate character. Maybe he should have been. But he had two cameras level with the characters and another one high or another one low. And that's good. If you're working on something that standard, that ordinary, you want to come at it from an oblique point of view. There was actually a couple of drone shots in there that were really good. Some cinematography was good. Sound was, I'm not going to say excellent, but you never wondered what they were saying. Not once. I didn't go, what was that? It never happened. Lighting was the same. And that's kind of amazing in that there were some scenes filmed at night. There were quite a few of them. And if people are running around at night, it's hard to backlight them without showing that you're backlighting them. Lighting got away with that. So the tech people did wonderfully. But the storytelling will leave you dropping your popcorn back into the bucket.
So a lot of times we talk about on Damn You Hollywood how disposable a lot of media is now.
Get your ass back in the chair.
It's my show now.
Mick. By the way, guys, Mick didn't say this, why she's not on screen. She looks great tonight, but she's sewing a skirt, as I understand it, which means she's probably not wearing a lot, which is why that camera's actually off. I'm just saying. Yeah, Mark's gone. Okay, all right. Mick, did you notice the closing credits that they were kind of animated?
No, I didn't.
Like, they were actually kind of production companies actually fight over opening and closing credits, and people who
Really?
don't do movies don't think about that. But this was actually quite good. In fact, I'm just going to say this: the closing credits were as good as any scene in the movie. I actually stopped and watched them for a while. I was like, no, this is time to turn it off. Wait a minute, that's cool. Wait a minute, that's cool.
That's funny because I think that's the one movie out of the three that we didn't actually watch the credits because I was going to go to bed. I had to work at 9:30 in the morning.
Well, now when you're watching the clock, yeah, the credits aren't going to grab you. What do you think of the script itself, though?
I think it was well written. It was definitely nothing like too intense.
But shouldn't it have been?
Yeah. Well, I don't. With the nature of that movie, I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
Because I think it was trying to lean on that like balance between action and comedy and heartfelt, and I think they had the balance. Because they shouldn't write something that's gonna sound like a novel when it's supposed to be like a big, easygoing movie.
Okay, so they honored their promise. This is the kind of movie you're going to get, and here you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
hey, Mark, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It was like all of a sudden my computer slowed way down. So I was starting to say, and we can kind of end with this. This is a movie that demands nothing of you as a viewer. It is kind of meant to be enjoyed, not really thought about, and then promptly forgotten about. The fact that it came out in January and we're talking about it in March, I guarantee you there were people going, "What movie was this?"
Did I miss something?
2 months ago.